Hey folks, I'm Labron Allen, the founder of the Natural Health Clinic, and today we're going to discuss fiber myths. We're going to get right into that after this. Stay tuned. So, got constipation? Add fiber. That's what we always hear. That's what you hear in the news, in magazine articles, from your physician, you name it, friends and family. You got constipation, add fiber, right? Well, I may actually be one of the very few to tell you that when you add fiber during constipation, what you might actually accomplish is to create a traffic jam in your intestines. Well, why is that? Well, if you think about it, what is the point of adding fiber? The idea is that you need to bulk and add volume to your stool, and that's going to help you with constipation. Now, why would you want to do that? Why would you want to add bulk and volume inside of a tube that is already not free-flowing? That would be like you have a kitchen sink that's plugged up, and instead of trying to break apart the traffic jam, the plug, you decide to add more food, throw some lettuce scraps down there, maybe the last dinner spaghetti, so you can add some bulk and volume to the traffic jam in that plumbing. Same thing occurs within your large intestine. How is that going to be helpful in the long haul for constipation issues? So again, why would you want to do that? So that's the first thing. Fiber creates bulk and volume to an already impacted or a traffic jam within your intestine. Now, the second thing that fiber does is it also creates microbes. Well, why is that a problem? Well, because microbes create fermentation. Now, if you think about fermentation, what things do we want to ferment? Well, we want some fermented foods like yogurt because that creates microbes, right? We want to ferment alcohol. In fact, that's how you make alcohols. You ferment barley to make beer, you ferment grapes to make wine, whatever the case may be, fermentation. Well, here's the problem. When you increase fiber, increase fermentation because of the increased microbes, is that the fermentation creates gas. And in fact, using the example of alcohol, one of the old methods of knowing when your wine was ready is that you would put your concoction of your grapes and your mash in the wine bottle, put a balloon over top of the opening of the wine bottle, and when the balloon expanded, you would know that your wine was ready to drink, because that is the fermentation process. It causes gas. The same thing occurs within your gut. You increase fiber, you're going to increase that fermentation process and therefore gas. Now, if you're familiar with the SIBO, which is small intestine bacterial overgrowth, be aware that adding fiber into your diet actually creates issues with SIBO. Well, why is that? Well, it's because of what I said previously. Fiber generates more microbes. Well, the problem is that the fiber causes the microbes to grow in the small intestine and create bloating, okay? Because bloating is part of that fermentation process. Think of the balloon on that wine bottle. It's going to expand. When your gut expands or bloats, that's a fermentation process going on. So it creates those colonies of microbes in completely the wrong area. You do not want these colonies of microbes in the small intestine that could actually create small intestine bacterial overgrowth. You want those microbes in the large intestine. So, what does all of this mean? It means reduce fiber. Now, if you're getting fiber naturally through eating the correct veggies, don't reduce those, of course. But taking in these fiber supplements and so forth to try to help with constipation issues, that is really something that you may want to consider avoiding completely. The other thing, kind of an aside, but not really, that fiber can cause is like with psyllium husks. It's a very common bulking, voluminizing fiber that people take, right? So those psyllium husks are actually very rough. And so when they bulk and they create volume within the intestine, they scrape the intestinal walls as it tries to push and move through. Remember, if you're having constipation, you already have a traffic jam in that small intestine. So as it tries to push through this tube, it creates a lot of irritation and inflammation. So another thing that fiber can do is actually cause inflammation. So the next question would be, well, what causes constipation? Well, the number one thing is actually different medications. Very frequently people take medications and those directly cause constipation. Very well known one, as an example, are pain medications. The second one is actually you may be deficient in certain B vitamins. Now the reason for that, it doesn't mean that you need to go and take B complex vitamin supplements. It actually usually means that you need to clean up your diet and that you're eating far too many processed foods. The more processed foods that you consume, the more B vitamins that you need in order to properly metabolize the unfood foods or the non-food foods that you're consuming. Now the next one, as far as cause of constipation, is all too common, and that is stress. You know, which one of us doesn't have stress? Raise your hand. So stress, it creates constriction within the motility of the bowel, within the bowel, and so that can hamper free flow, if you will, of the stool through the intestine. Another one that's very common, in fact this is probably one of the most common that I find with my clients, is that they actually have low bile. Bile is an extremely important substance within the body. It not only helps to soften the stool so that it can flow through easily, but it also acts as a detergent within the entire digestive tract. It destroys bad microbes. All right, so very, very important. Also helps break down fats. It's a very important digestive aid. And if you are low in bile, which is very, very common, either people don't have their gallbladders anymore, or they have biliary ducts that are very congested, or if they do have their gallbladder, it may be congested, so they're not getting a free flow of this bile when and how much they need. Now, another reason can simply be something called dysbiosis, and that is basically microbes within the gut not being at proper ratio. So you need both beneficial bacteria and beneficial fungi or yeast, and those two work as antagonists. In that way, they work together. The yeast, they can help create B vitamins for digestion. The bacteria is a large portion of your immune system. Those two work together. So you want to make sure that there is no SIBO, or small intestine bacterial overgrowth. Again, you don't want to take probiotics excuse me, for SIBO, because it's already an abundance of bacteria, and probiotics are bacteria. That's just an FYI. So another reason that many people may not think about that can cause constipation is that they are simply eating too frequently. That can be an issue for people who eat, several meals a day, is that they're not giving their digestive system, their bowel, a rest, a chance to actually fully digest the food and push things through. So in that case, things like fasting, intermittent fasting, can be very, very helpful to help with constipation. Another one can be ones who do not do a ketogenic diet properly, and they're actually over-consuming protein. So I'm definitely not against ketogenic diets, even a carnivore diet, but certain people may not be able to handle the amount of protein that those diets generate, or it could be that their digestive system and their capability of digesting protein is compromised. In those cases, there's things that we can do as far as certain supplements that help to dramatically improve protein digestion. Going right along with that is the next reason or cause for constipation, and that's that they have low hydrochloric acid. Hydrochloric acid is one of the main acids within the stomach, and its primary purpose is to digest protein. So if you are low in hydrochloric acid, you're going to have difficulty digesting proteins in particular, but foods in general. And of course, the less digested your food is, the much more likely that you're going to experience constipation. And finally, constipation can be a mineral problem. It can be a mineral deficiency problem, specifically sodium, potassium, and magnesium. You see, you need sodium in the bowel in order to, through osmosis, pull fluid into the bowel. Now, if you don't have any fluid in the bowel, guess what you have? An extremely hard, extremely dry stool, which is not going to help with constipation. Magnesium, as many people may know, you take it, you actually can cause diarrhea because that basically relaxes constricted muscle tissue, helps, again, free flow. So I hope you found these tips and information helpful. And if you did, I'm really asking for a favor, and that is to please comment, like, share these videos, because the algorithms are getting worse and worse. I know I say this all the time, but now I'm even having colleagues come out on their YouTube channels and saying, look, like YouTube algorithms, even searching certain things under their names you cannot find. Instead, the YouTube algorithms, Facebook algorithms are directing them to the official sources of official medical information. And that's because now there's a partnership definitely with YouTube to work directly with the World Health Organization and only to disseminate the official information that they deem is appropriate. So the only way that this information that can really help people can get out is through you. So I please ask that you like, you comment, you share. All of those things help boost viewership of these different videos and posts. And of course, if you need some help in optimizing your health, if you're in the middle of that journey and you're kind of at a loss, that's what we're here for. That's what I do every day in helping clients. And so, excuse me, I invite you to an initial consultation so we can do several different forms of testing and nutritional exam and figure out what we may be able to do to get you to your health goals of health optimization. So once again, thank you for watching. I'm Leigh Brunellen, the founder of the Natural Health Clinic, and have a great afternoon.